Yani everything is a privilege. 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 Yani everything is a
Do can I issue it? I don't know, are my books available for wholesale prices or something? So we're supposed to be talking. Yeah.
Habari gani?
Habari gani?
Ujima. Ujima.
Ujima.
How's everything going? How's everybody doing?
Great.
Just waiting for a few more people to join us this evening, and I'll turn it over to Brother Elamine.
Are we able to see all the people who are on? I'm some reason not able to see everybody.
Not in the share, when I'm sharing the screen, you can only see the speaker queue.
Ah.
As soon as I stop sharing, you'll see.
Thank you, Tech Department.
In my upper right-hand corner, I do have something that says view, and I can click to see side-by-side gallery. So I can see the screen and I can see the people. So I don't know if you have that at the top right.
You're right. Yeah, it'll give you a limited number of people you can see. You just have to scroll. We have about 13 in the room right now. Brother Elamine, I will turn it over to you to get us started for this evening.
Habari gani, family?
Ujima.
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 Tonight, another special night. I am not physically in my hometown, city that I spent 7 decades in. I'm officially lodged in North Carolina the past couple of months. However, through the goodness of Zoom, we're all together and in one space, one technological space. I'm happy to be before you and I'm wordy, so be prepared. If you have notepads, get your pen and pad out because Dr. Bailey can attest.
You.
I do tend to get wordy, it's just the way I am. So talk about Ujima after I ask. Is there anyone in the room 75 years old or older? Good. Then I take the permission. Oh, I saw Dr. Davis. Dr. Davis. Dr. Davis.
Yes.
Is there anyone in the room 75?
Oh, I am.
That's why I went back to you.
Yeah, you got permission. You got permission.
Thank you, my
Sorry,
brother.
get on. I clicked the wrong button.
Okay. Dr. Davis and I, grade school classmates, and he's a few months older. So I have to show my respect. In the tradition of African people, and I'm going to read this statement because it's rather long. Excuse me. There's a process called libation, and we pour libation at various kinds of occasions. The birth of a child, marriages, community gatherings, the opening of a new home or moving into a new home, new space, at transitions of our relatives to the next dimension, whatever we decide to call it. So we pour libation. And I ask you to bear with me. Are my glasses reflected in your screens?
It's fine.
Blue in mine.
It's fine.
Okay, cool. All right, let me read through this libation statement. Greetings. In the traditions of our African families and heritage, it is incumbent on me to ask one of my elders to speak. Dr. Davis granted me that permission. And so now I have the floor, and I thank you, sir.
Oh, you're welcome.
As this is a tradition which keeps us connected with our ancestral world, giving due honor and respect to those who have come before us, who have trespassed before us. And so what we do is invite all of our ancestors before us, those known and unknown, those seen and unseen, to this gathering, so that this will be another holy spot, the hallowed ground to bring forth this message from our ancestors to you. In the name of the Holy Creator, who is known by many names, from Ra to Ptah, sometimes called Allah, sometimes he called Jehovah, sometimes called Jah. We give thanks for our being here and those ancestors who have come before us. Ashe.
Ashe.
Hope you can see I'm pouring libation with my desk. Long, long lineage of ancestors, hundreds and thousands of generations who toiled, designed, and built civilizations throughout the African continent, throughout the Far East, and spread out throughout the African continent, and spread out across the world, civilizing people around the globe. Ashe.
Ashe.
For those ancestors who reached back, and held together our traditions as we moved across Africa, establishing civilizations in the north and the south, we give honor and thanks. Ashe. To those of our ancestors who fought, so some of us would not become victims of the most inhumane activity known to mankind, the Atlantic enslavement trade, we give honor and thanks to those. Ashe. To all our ancestors who were captured and forced to live in inhumane conditions, sometimes years at a time, and never leaving the 43 enslavement dungeons that were built along the coastlines of the continent. To those ancestors, we give honor and thanks. Ashe.
Ashe.
To those ancestors who were forced and packed into ships and forced across the Atlantic to live and die in the so-called Americas, never knowing who they were, we give honor and thanks.
Ashe.
Ashe.
To those ancestors who held on to our African traditions and kept them alive, especially along the coast of Brazil and throughout the Caribbean and some of the places in the coastal United States, we give honor and thanks. Ashe.
Ashe.
To those ancestors who brought forth that spirit of wanting to be alive, that spirit to continue to give birth to the multiple geniuses that we now know and respect their names, we give honor and thanks.
Ashe.
Ashe.
To those brothers and sisters who died fighting enslavement to keep our ancestral traditions alive, we give honor and thanks. Ashe.
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 To those ancestors who toiled on plantations in the North and the South, to those who found a way to figure out what languages were being spoken in this country and pass it along to their children, we give honor and thanks.
Ashe.
Ashe.
To those ancestors who felt that English education was one of the keys to our survival, that we had to know who we were, and those who reached back through time to reconnect us with the African spirit, we give honor and thanks.
Ashe.
Ashe.
To those ancestors who moved north under these concrete jungles and tried to make families, kept us together, kept us thriving, striving, and now we're in the hallowed halls of every major concern in this country as ex-enslaved people, we give honor and thanks.
Ashe.
Ashe.
To your mothers and fathers who toiled and strove to get us to where we are today, to give and deliver messages of who we are today as people and what we need to be about as people, so we can return to our true African selves, we give honor and thanks.
Ashe.
And to those yet unborn who will follow us, who we pray that we will set a firm foundation and build new institutions that are aimed at reestablishing our African selves and moving forth in this world for the next 25 generations. We give honor and thanks.
Ashe.
And to all those ancestral spirits, known and unknown, who are with us today, we honor you and love you, and we give thanks to the Almighty for your presence. Ashe.
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 Thank you for your indulgence. Ujima, collective work and responsibility. These are a few words that I believe directly connects us with the concept of Ujima. And Ujima, for those new, is a Swahili word. And all of these 7 principles are Swahili words. The founder of Kwanzaa, double doctor Maulana Karenga, decided to use Swahili because it's a continental and universal language. And today, the African Union has declared that Swahili will be the language of the continent once again, and then make that the official language so all of our people will be able to connect, speak with each other, communicate with each other, something we haven't been able to do since enslavement process, or since the 1882 Berlin Summit. So we are reconnected through Swahili and Kiswahili, and now able to rebuild our firm foundations and civilizations. This collective work means we collectively work for the good of the entire community. Those of us who've gone through universities, we know they teach us the I, me, and my concept. Me, my wife, my 2 children, my picket fence, my car, my house. It's about that nuclear family. However, we've always been a people who looked out for the ethnic group, for the tribe, for what is now the nations, and that's what we return to. So collectively, we work together. We take personal responsibility for the children amongst us, all the children. It's our duty to look out for the babies because it's their world tomorrow. It's our world today. Someone looked out for us. We have to build on that and make sure that all of our children have an opportunity at a better life. Collectively, we have to teach and train our children. In every organization we have, from schools to religious institutions to youth clubs, on the street corners, wherever they are, it's our duty, our responsibility to reach out and teach, always be teaching and be good examples. We also have to support the work, the good work of groups that are out working to build our communities, to reestablish wholeness in the lives of our babies, and fight against the colonial mentality that they experience, that we've experienced all of our lives. We also have to get involved and stay involved all the days of our lives to make sure that the group is more important than the individual. our ethnic group, our community will be here when we're long gone. Some of us may have known great-grandparents. They've gone on to the next world. It's our job to support and build. When we go on, it's our grandchildren and great-grandchildren's job to support and build. And as the Native Americans say, for the next 7 generations. So we commit ourselves to stay involved, stay focused throughout all the
Did he mute himself?
Brother Elamine, I think we lost your sound, your audio. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Can you hear? Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable.
Okay, we can hear you now.
All right. I am in a small town in the country. All right. My great niece, Naila Stackhouse, is going to do a reading and also show you a couple, she's going to light the third candle, and show you an artifact of some of the ancient architecture of our people. Naila, I'm technologically challenged, so I'll be passing things around. There she is.
Hi, I had to unmute my sound. So
Tell us what you're about.
I'm sorry?
Tell us what you're about.
This is Zinga, everyone. Say hi.
Hi,
So I'm
Zinga.
going to be lighting the candles today. And this was actually gifted to me by Elder Elamine. It is the largest and oldest mud building that's still standing to this day. And then I believe Nzinga wants to help light the candles today. So we have
That
unity.
first one.
Unity. This is Umoja.
All right.
And then we're gonna light Kuji Chakalia. And then we are going to light it for Ujima.
Mom. Mom.
Thank you, Miss Nzinga.
I'm the princess.
A princess, Nzinga.
We are.
And
That's
then
my great niece.
and this is Jace, great nephew.
Great nephew Jace, a drummer.
And we're also going to read a children's story today. We are going to read Little Lion Goes to School. Wake up, sleepyhead. Little lion sat up in bed. His little locks fell round his head. He stretched out with a great big yawn, and outside it was barely dawn. A bit of blue in a black sky. The sun's not up, so why am I? Papa did not even smile. Little lion thought a while. I need to make a rule that sticks. Little kids should sleep till 6. Down the hill they rode along, Papa and Little Lion, past the church where Grandma prayed, the grassy field where his friends played. Down the hill into the coast where the fishermen waited with their boats. Baldhead Benji, Uncle Stan, Johnny Reds, and Preacher Man. They talked and laughed and drank some tea. The boats pulled out, they were at sea. The sky so blue, the sea so calm, the air so fresh, the sun so warm. Papa cast the net and sang a song. Come, little fish, come along, come to my net where you belong. Papa, when I grow up to be a man, I will fish like you and Uncle Stan. Oh, little lion, you'll be much more. Your new school will open the door. Tomorrow we will begin with a new and good education, and you can be anything. Oh no, this isn't cool. Don't make me go to that new school. Why can't Papa change his mind? I like my old school just fine. Looks like I need another rule. Kids should get to pick their own school. Little lion lay in his cot. If I'm lucky, Papa forgot. But there was the voice in the foot of the bed. Wake up, sleepyhead. Down one hill and up another to the school called Holly Mother. Outside stood Miss Beulah Bell. Oh no, this won't go well. Come, little lion, this is your time. Just be yourself and you'll be fine. And with that, Papa said goodbye. Oh no, I'm going to die. He's so nervous. Little lion went inside and tried to find a place to hide. 20 kids stared at his face. Little lion felt out of place. They looked up and down and at his old clothes. One girl wrinkled her nose. All the kids seemed shiny and new, and Little John felt so tiny. Oh no. Where's Papa? I am ready to go. Well, said Miss Beulah Bell, let's start the week with show and tell. We'll go in alphabetical order, some today, the rest tomorrow. And so the kids went one by one. A.J. Allen, Davy Dunn, with books and gifts, toy cars and phones, all the way to J.D. Jones. Little Lion went home in fear. Papa, I can't go back in there. It was bad. Papa, didn't you see? No one there looks like me. All the boys have fancy clothes, and all of the girls have pretty bows. They talk all day about their toys, and there aren't any Rasta boys. They laughed at me and pulled my locks, and they make fun of my old socks. And tomorrow, Miss Beulah said, I have to give them a show and tell. Little Lion, Papa grew stern. You stand up tall when it's your turn. Waiting is the hardest part. Just show those kids what's in your heart. Tell them who you really are, and you're sure to be a star. In the shorts. Great, Little Lion thought. That's a wish that might work well when you talk to fish. Everybody's got something but me. Cool's the guy kids want to be. Pale's the best at playing football. Brains the best, is the smartest one of all. Boat's the best at running fast. I've got nothing to show to that class. Papa's old, he just can't see. There's nothing special about me. I need a rule for this as well. Kids should never have show and tell. Little Lion prayed all night, but sure enough, there came the light. And Papa at the foot of the bed, wake up, sleepyhead. Little Lion thought, this is it. Today I'm going. I'm a fish in their net. My goose is cooked. Papa's throwing me in like a worm on a hook. Little Lion, look, Papa said, all this fear is in your head. It doesn't matter what you have or where. What matters is that you fight your fear. Just remember what you have inside. Be a lion. Show them your pride. Little Lion sat in the back, praying for a heart attack. Then dreadful Miss Beulah Bell said, time again for show and tell. Up went little Malik Miller. After him went Peter Palmer. Timmy Turner followed next. Oh no, it's just me left. Miss Beulah looked at her sheet. Just one more and we're complete. Who is this here? Her big voice boomed. She was so loud she shook the room. Zachariah! Oh no. Zebediah! Oh no. Oh no. Zion? Could she just call me Little Lion? No. All the class began to giggle. Little Lion tried to wiggle all the way down in his chair, his little limbs shaking with fear. But all over, the children laughed. Little Lion could still hear Papa Bear. Stand up tall and look inside. Be a lion. Show them your pride. Tell them who you really are, and you're sure to be a star. Show myself. Tell who I am. Okay. He thought, I've got a plan. I'll show them that I can be a man. Little Lion stood up at last, walked right up to the front of the class. Asa Adams began to yell, he's got nothing for show and tell. But Little Lion wasn't quiet for long. My show and tell will be a song. He closed his eyes and with his feet began to tap a little beat. He cleared his throat and shook his head, took a deep, deep breath, and then he said, yes, my name is Zachariah Zion. My papa calls me Little Lion. I might be small and I might be poor, but one day I'll have a mighty roar. These little locks that crown my head, they tell the world that I'm a dread, a Rasta boy, just like my papa. Lots of lawyers, teachers, doctors, singers like Marley, fishermen too, but I'm no different than any of you. I love to laugh and I love to play and have fun with my friends all day. Don't have Nintendo, never seen an arcade. I play with toys that nature made. Fish with my papa all day at sea, climb the highest coconut tree. Little Lion opened his eyes a crack and all the kids were smiling back. Sasha Simpson started to snap. Kareem Kelly started to clap. Basie Brown banged on his chair. Matthew Murray threw his hands in the air. But nothing could be any cooler than Miss Beulah Bell waving her ruler. Little Lion's eyes opened wide, his little heart filled up with pride. He felt his fear just disappear as all the kids began to cheer. Go, Zachariah. Go, Zachariah Zion. Go, go, go. Go on, Little Lion. Little Lion thought, wow, Papa was right. He took another breath and sang with all his might. My show and tell is what's inside me. That's the way my papa taught me. When I grow up, I can be anything. My little life is just beginning. Now here's a rule I'll make for sure. I'll follow my heart and I'll stay true and pure. And someday soon the world will see my special gift is the lion in me. The end.
Who's the author?
The author is Kelly Magnus, and it is illustrated by Michael Robinson. Wait a minute. No. It's okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any comments?
Give it to you. It's fine.
Great story. Rastaman.
Ashe.
Yes, Rasta.
Pray for our children.
Rasta.
Thank you.
You're
All right, thank
welcome.
you, Naila.
You're welcome.
It's a fantastic reading.
Thank you. Mom. Where's your hat? Keep falling.
I think the ball is back in my court. Okay. I'm Numo Talib Al-Amin, and I am a member of the African Kingdoms Federation and the African Royal Kingdom. I'm in the court of the reigning Queen of Sheba, and some of the messages I want to bring forth to you today are what is happening with the African Royal Kingdoms around the world, which includes those of us in the Americas. I have a couple of videos that I'd like to show and we can discuss. The first one deals with a transport system that we are working on to bring to Africa, starting in South Africa. It's above ground transport. And we're also talking about building linear cities throughout the continent. And this above ground transport will be able to transport people up to 500 kilometers per hour. So do we have a presentation set? This is called Skyway.
action by Trump appointees at the Pentagon, risking a smooth transfer of power.
Right now, we just aren't getting all the information that we need.
Not gonna lie, Jay.
Thank you.
From the outgoing administration.
That system was designed in Belarus. They have.
Can someone turn their TV off?
Remarks addressing the Christmas Day bombing in downtown Nashville.
This bombing was a reminder of the respected power.
Someone listening to the news, I guess. They have put together a system for the desert, United Arab Emirates. You can go to YouTube, put in Skyway, punch in Skyway, and you can see what's happening in the United Arab Emirates as well as what's happening in Japan. They have a system that's full blown there. And ours will be starting in Free State, South Africa, which is just east of Johannesburg. Just east of Johannesburg. And that'll be our first trial city, linear city and rail transport system. And the plan is to connect Cairo to Cape Town and Mombasa to Monrovia in Liberia and points in between. For the first time, people will be connected. That's one of the projects of the African Kingdoms Federation that the reigning queen, Queen Sheba III, has put together and has affiliated with Skyway. She has brought together numerous people with brilliant ideas on how to transform the African continent, as well as those of us in the diaspora. New agricultural techniques, finding water techniques instead of just drilling wells. So that's a time frame. So drilling wells, we're going down below the water table into the shell of the earth to bring water up so that we can actually have the arid regions now become beneficial and productive. So those with affiliations with the people that are, in fact, a group out of the United States that has mastered that technology. We're talking about aqua farming, the fish farming, along with producing fruits and vegetables and utilizing the fish excess as fertilizer, clean fertilizer. Another methods of growing cattle and allowing them to graze, come in the evening, feed them, and then go out, and so they don't graze as much in the outdoors and eat up as much land, and not land, but the vegetation. Some remarkable things happening there. The next video actually is the Queen of Sheba being interviewed about a revolutionary, the next video is about digital currency. And this is an introduction to what's happening around the world, the new thing in terms of currency. The dollar, the euro, the yen, they're called fiat currency, F-I-A-T. And you can Google that. And these currencies will be a thing of the past. We saw the cryptocurrencies come in, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a few others. Well, now digital currency is the new wave. So do we have that video queued up?
Yes, Brother Elamine, there was a question about the time frame. Did you want to respond to that before showing the next video?
The actual groundbreaking on the city and the Free State is scheduled for 2021. That's where they will begin to establish the rails, the hub system, and go from there. What we're building is from 2020 to 2028. This is laying the foundations for the linear cities, the above ground transit systems, and we're building towards the African Union target dates of 2063 to have transformed the continent of Africa into the most productive and viable place on the planet to live. Now, there are 55 countries on the continent, and the Queen of Sheba is unifying all the 2,500 plus kingdoms, the kings, the queens, and getting them on one page. We're talking about talking them into having passports and visas where you can go from country to country. Right now, if you're in South Africa, you can't just go to Ghana. You got to get a visa. You can't go next door to Mozambique. So we're working on eliminating the political divisions that were set in place at the Berlin Conference in 1882 and 83, and unifying the people on one accord, the uplift of every African kingdom simultaneously, a plan no one has ever conceived in the history of the world. So starting in 2021, unifying the people, getting them on board, and the next thing I'll talk about is how we're going to finance it. So we're looking at the long run, long haul.
Why would the banks disrupt themselves by introducing a digital currency that would make it easier for consumers and businesses to disintermediate the banks? Well, the banks may not be the innovators. It may be that they are the reactors, that they will react when others innovate. And I'm sure that they've considered the trade-offs involved in whether to disrupt themselves by introducing digital currencies, or whether to wait and react when others introduce digital currencies. Right now, digital currency sounds very edgy and kind of alternative lifestyle, but it's becoming the mainstream. And so the banks, the largest banks in particular, are very aware of this. They're investing in the technology, and they will provide this service as soon as it's profitable enough, after considering the cost to them of losing some of their current business that they're going to disrupt. Banks will eventually either be leading or following, but they'll be involved. They can't avoid it.
That dark beam. You gotta change it like.
The new wave is digital currency.
Your hairs. What are you doing? Look at your hair.
Someone, would you?
Please mute your phone.
Okay. The next video will talk about a new currency that was introduced in 2018 on the island of Jamaica in the community of Akompong. This was the first free community in the Western Hemisphere, and they defeated the British, moved up into the hills of Jamaica, and established their own kingdom there. And out of that has come what's called the Lumi, the new digital currency. And it's based on solar energy that can be transported and backed up by gold. People have questioned, well, how are you going to do this? Well, solar energy can be captured like any other energy, and we have systems in place to transport this solar energy and to back up this currency across the globe. And it's backed by gold, and we know where all the gold is. So the majority is on the continent of Africa. So we're still mining gold, and the kingdoms own the lands, not the politicians, and the politicians will be moved out of the way from controlling and giving all the resources to outsiders for a pittance, for their own personal growth. So can you, is there any questions before we go to this Lumi that I mentioned? Okay, will you roll the video? This is interview.
The head of the African Royal Kingdoms has called for the elimination of Africa's debt and a universal currency for the continent. Her Imperial Majesty Queen Sheba III, a descendant of the oldest matriarchal throne, which originated in Kush, a place now known as South Sudan, has embarked on a major campaign to eradicate debt in Africa. Queen Sheba is also the Deputy President of the African Union Nations for the World Peace Committee. Queen Sheba joins us now live via Zoom from Johannesburg. Thanks very much indeed for joining us, and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much. It's nice to be here.
All right, let's start with this plan of assisting African countries eliminating their debt. How can we do that?
We can do that because of the work that has been done by the African Sixth Economic Community. The Sixth Economic Community was formed within the territories of Accompong, which is the first African state to be freed during the colonial era. That Accompong has now, it's actually since 2018, formulated a currency which is called the African Kingdom's Lumi. So it's a currency from the Sixth Economic Community of the African diaspora and from a sovereign state. That Lumi at this time is valued about 15.97 US dollars if you're looking in terms of the value that is based on solar energy that can be transported. We have an alliance of companies in Germany and in Europe, banking consortiums in Canada and other countries supporting this currency. And with that, we have started in October to roll out a financial stimulus of 100 US, which is the equivalent of 6.26 Lumi to the African community, and step by step now work towards eliminating the debts of Africa. Because with this pandemic and everything that is happening now, Africa must rise and rise greater and fast.
All right, so how does it work? I mean, you know, how do people get involved? Because I'm imagining that this currency is going to need to be supported from somewhere.
Yes, the currency is supported by solar energy, as I explained before. And as we know, all currencies are fiat currencies. It means there's nothing supporting the fiat currency. The African currency, the Lumi, is the first currency on this planet. And I'm so proud from Africa that is a prime currency with a value. It means you can exchange it back for its value. The people can access that by going to the eco6.com website, and they can apply for the stimulus. The stimulus is meant from October 1st this year, so we already had 2 rolled out in October, on October 28, November 28, and December 28 of this month. It's meant from everyone from 18 years and over, regardless of ethnicity, every African in Africa and the diaspora, and it is being paid and backed by our Pan-African Bank, Kingdoms Bank, and the Central Bank of Accompong.
What will...
They can go to, I'm sorry, they can go to the eco6.com website, so eco/6.com, and you can apply for the stimulus there. We are busy speaking with the African respective governments, the central bank community, and the internal economic community, because if we can have this currency launch in time, it means we will have a currency for the African market that is from Africa, by Africa, and we can, with this currency, repay the debts of Africa immediately and effectively. This is what we have called for.
What do the benefiting countries have to do in return?
What we have to do in return is to now, if we have Africa where the debt has been paid, we have rolled out, we know there's $480 billion that has to be repaid for Africa. We have put the $480 billion there open in terms of the Lumi to pay the debts. All we need is for the countries to come together and that we can work as a collective Africa to now build Africa step by step in unity as African nations and the right way with the people. There is no repayment in terms of paying back the debt, but there is the activities itself to see that we now together having this eliminate hunger, see to the fourth industrial era. We have already put together a program for transportation development, high-level string transport from Skyway. We have been in discussions with the countries in terms of linear cities. We have been busy with quite a few governments and government officials that has been so fantastic helping us to get this agenda in place. So if we're thinking alternative energy and we are thinking solar energy, it means actually the more we start developing Africa and with the best technology possible, we are generating energy, and that energy converts and translates into the alternative energy that builds up our bank accounts.
How much Lumi is already in play? How much are you hoping to generate over time?
We have put already on the table $6 trillion value of the Lumi for the countries in terms of the distribution for the financial stimulus. In terms of the agenda for the African countries, we are able and capable at this point in time with this currency to do the financial support for every one of the African nations. So in terms of how much, the sun is there shining and the gold we have there on our soils. And together with that energy, it is endless. It is now up to us to take the choice and make the choice to make the difference now, and also to have the currency so all of the currencies can float against. And with that, we have a currency that Africans can use inside and outside of Africa. But most important, that we can clear the debts of Africa so the countries can now use their resources to build Africa and work co-equally with the rest of the economic community as Africans. And with pride.
For the currency to have value, it has to be trusted and people have to have faith in it. Have you already engaged the international community beyond Africa to look at this currency and accept it and its value?
Yes, we have. There's a difference. We are now using fiat currencies. The fiat currency has no underlying value. There's no underlying value in the fiat currency. So if I was to take any currency, any dollar, and I go to the bank and said, I would like to get the value of this currency in my hand, there is no currency value that is coming back. If you take now the Lumi and you said, I would like to get the value in Lumi, we can export to you that energy in the liquid forms that is being done with our corporate partners, which is the biggest energy company that is in Germany. We have also JD Eurocorp Banking Trust in Canada. We have the banking community in some of the banking community in Germany and other countries that are busy with it. We are busy with the African Import and Export Banks. So we have quite a few banks busy, the Central Bank, as well as Akampong, and the banks that we are in discussion with, and central bank level with governments that I cannot as yet disclose because they're still in discussions. But yes, it is already within the international community since October, when I was so happy to wake up to get the first transfer. We are busy working with SwiftFin platform. So you can go and register on your account and the currency can be changed within that platform directly with the central bank. But we are trying to get people, do not exchange it, because you're exchanging something with value for something that does not have value, and it will be changing as the currency of the countries change to digital. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. Therefore, we must be ahead of that as Africa. We did not have the privilege to have the industrialization as most, but we have a currency that will give us the advantage to now step forward and step up as Africa. And we have the opportunity, and especially beautiful, fantastic South Africa, to be now going out this year as the African Union head with something, the capability to see that the African nations have such a powerful currency that we are able to say, let us start the development in this new era with a new slate as Africa. And we have the possibility to stand up and be a greater Africa and see that we do not bow to mendicancy that is coming with this pandemic. The currency is back. It's not a matter of being backed by trust of people. Whether the people trust it or not is irrelevant to the fact that it is backed by solar energy and 4 grains of gold per lumi. Right now, 1 lumi is the value of 250 rands. It's not based on whether people agree or not agree. It is not a cryptocurrency. It is a sovereign currency and with a value. So therefore, any currency with a value can be exchanged within the international market.
All right, so just to try and simplify it in my mind and help our viewers, so for example, a reserve bank might have its currency backed with gold bullion. Are we saying that this is backed by energy bars?
The lumi is backed by energy and the equivalent of that energy in gold.
Right,
so it has a double backing there. It's very important. Even if a currency is backed by gold and you're going to the bank and you said, okay, I have 1 million rands, I would like to get my value of the rands. The system is not created to give you the difference of the gold in exchange for that rands. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
You cannot take a rand and say, okay, I would like to get the gold value of that, because it's not created like that anymore. That has stopped. What we have with the Lumi, if you come and say, okay, we have 100 million of your Lumis, we would like to get the value of that. We can ship the value of for you, the energy stored in the respective tubes. And please do not ask me the technical part, but energy can be transported and it is transportable, and we can do that. So that is the difference. And the equivalent of that in grains of gold, because Africa is on itself, sitting on lands that is very much triple Fort Knox, if not more, triple zillion Fort Knox on its own. So we can deliver that. That is the difference. It is not to say it's something that we drew up on a board. This is something that has been worked on for a long time by the Minister of Finance, who is also the Crown Prime Minister, His Excellency Chief Simarco III, Timothy McPherson, who is very, very much into the international banking. He's Jamaican, born in Canada, and has been working within the stock market and the banking community and training the governors of central banks over the years in terms of implementing their agendas. So it is well-backed, well-educated, and we have an enormous amount of people from outside that are working with us together on this. What we need is to get the economic community and the African community now backing a currency. Unfortunately, in Africa, we have the tendency not to trust ourselves and the tendency not to trust things that are coming out of Africa, when it is very important to understand this is the African diaspora coming together and putting all on the table to come together as a united Africa. This is the opportunity with this pandemic that we have a currency that can be used and implemented to help the people of Africa and to help our governments of Africa. Because this, what is being faced by Africa and the rest of the world, has not been faced by any before. And we cannot call on the government, you're doing this wrong or that one, or the people, you're doing this wrong or that wrong, until we all come together really and give it a try to make a change. It is not a currency that is based on air. It's a currency that at this moment, it's the only prime currency on this planet, the only one. And we can say that because it is a fact. And I think it is something that Africa should now take ownership and run with it. And with that, we can clear the debt. And we can now see to the financing of the agendas of Africa and leave the resources where they are for this moment whilst we get that done, and working with our international partners, international alliances, to see that we build Africa together.
I mean, this, from listening to you talk, will change the continent fundamentally. It will look completely different, the way that we engage with ourselves and engage with the world, and also the types of industry and trade that we'll be doing in the future if we have this digital currency as our vehicle.
Absolutely, it will change it. It will change it. Africa, the world is now at a point where we're on the eve of a new era, a new time, a new change. If Africa does not take the opportunity as the nations and the mother nations of the nations in the South, of the entirety of humanity, then we have forfeited our right to complain in this new era. That's a fundamental fact. If we are now, at this time of this pandemic, accepting, okay, the world has changed, businesses are closing, all of this, we do not have this, we do not have that, and we sit down, then we are putting Africa on a course that is destructive. We are at a new era. We have the opportunity to build something that is greater than any movie and any Wakanda by taking hold of this currency. And I need South Africa so much to become the pillar of the African continent to bring this forward, because everything is here in Southern Africa and in South Africa to make that difference. We have it, we can change it. We can see to clearing the debts of Africa. We can see to implementing this new currency and see that all of the African currency, digital currencies, are put in place and can float on this, therefore they have a value. Because if I cannot use a rand now, if I was to travel to England or to Philippines or China or whatever part, I cannot use my rand. I cannot use my Caribbean dollars. I cannot use, most Asian countries cannot use their currency. So if you were to see, we have 202 countries in the world, plus we have more, actually 237, if I'm correct. My numbers may be off on that. If we're looking at those countries, there are probably 10 or 15 countries whose currencies can be used outside of their territories. But yet the southern part of this planet is where so much of the value is, and it's the mother cradle of all nations. I do not believe in isolating any nation because we are the mother of the South. We are here as a Southern Asia, Southern African, Asia, all of these places are family to us. So therefore, if we as this area, as we as the South can make the change and build this continent, we can build something so fundamentally different. And instead of Africa saying, please help us, then we can say, how can we help you? And really help others.
Well,
and can you imagine the technology?
Yeah.
We have been having every single Monday, and I've committed every Monday until 2023 to have these summits just to show the communities and the nations, come and see at the summit. This is what we are bringing in. We are not asking you to pay for it. We are asking you to help us roll it out. We are asking you to help us to get the economic community using the Lumi besides the national currency. Because if you cannot use your currency now outside, it means even when the African countries change to digital currency, we still have the same barriers of what the debt that is owed. We still have the limitation of being able to use that anywhere else. It's the same. So therefore, if we have a currency that we can trade and translate into any currency because of the prime backing that it has there, then we have a continental currency for the open market, and still we have the sovereign currencies of the different countries. And with that, can you imagine Africa, where you do not have people living in huts when they can have something? It can be traditional still, but it can be something great and better. We have an Africa that is already having structures in place in terms of the weather changes that is coming. We have an Africa where we can implement eco-farm, where we can see that ecotech and all of these things are there, where we can see that we have the very best of technology in Africa for the African people, but not against the African and the community here. Because Africa will then own it and has more control of it. And that is so important because we must control our future as Africa. And yes, can you absolutely imagine if we can get the cars off the road and we have a transport system that can go from any corner of South Africa from mid-air, the skyway transport system. So Africa may be behind in terms of technology, but absolutely will be in front in terms of development and our ecosystem development, ecosystem, transportation, alternative energy. All of that is what we are ready as the Eco 6 community to see prepared and paid for Africa. And therefore, with that, it gives the African people and the African governments the opportunity now to really see how can they now take care of Africa in a better way with having all of the tools to now do it and now having the yoke of the debt off the back of Africa. I'm very passionate about this, so
yes,
I can go on for hours.
Your Imperial Majesty, Queen Sheba III, it really has been great talking to you. It sounds very exciting, and we certainly hope that we can start to see this vision unfolding and that the whole of Africa embraces this idea. Thank you so much indeed for bringing it to us, and let's hope that it can start to flourish. Thank you so much indeed for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope all of the viewers watching is ready to support us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, so that's Imperial.
You're still on mute, Brother Alameen.
Thank you. Technology. That is what I call collective work and responsibility. The Queen of Sheba is looking out for the entire continent and those of us in the diaspora. That's Ujima on a global perspective, and we are a part of it. We're included. Anyone can join the African Kingdoms Federation. Anyone can become a part. Anyone can come in and contribute at whatever level. You can go to african-kingdoms-federation.com and join, or you can go to african-royal-kingdoms.com and look through the site and see all of the marvelous things that are being done and how she has unified people from Southeast Asia to South Arabia, to South Africa, to South America, to the Caribbean, to Korea, to India, unifying the people and rebuilding the kingdoms. The Almighty set out kingdoms thousands of years ago. So this is nothing new. We've just been in the political system the last 300-400 years, and we see what that has brought us. But the Queen of the South is on the job, and she has come with a great, great wisdom for all of us. So I invite you, if you'd like to participate in the Royal Summit or just listen in, they're every Monday, 11 a.m., 11 to 1. And it's open, and we have experts that are constantly coming to the Federation with new ideas, new projects to rebuild Africa and the diaspora.
Brother Elamine, there is a question on the
Yes.
floor. How is the solar power extracted for use? Who is the primary consumer of the solar energy?
There's a company in Germany that right now, that's what they do. They transport hydrogen, liquid hydrogen, and some other energy substances. And they have developed a system where they can transport solar energy. If you Google it or go to the African Royal Kingdom site, you should find, I don't have all that in front of my mind, who they are, but in a couple of the summits they were on, they demonstrated how it's done. They talked about how it's done, the technology, how it works. So it's transportable. That information is available, but it's a company out of Germany. Once again, the Germans are leading in technology. So it's feasible, viable, doable, and it's here. And the person who was speaking, their wisdom is greater than any that you've encountered. You, me, all of us have encountered. To put this together, these ideas and what she's talking about, she put on paper 20 years ago. I was installed in her court about 10 years ago and had access to the Royal Libraries for 5 years. So I've read so much, it blew my little mind in terms of our history and what she had planned for humanity. So it's available to all of us.
Another comment that came in was, why am I now just hearing about this brilliant woman?
Because of colonization, we have colonized mind, they colonize history, they colonize knowledge. Most people have no idea who Basil Davidson is. This man exposed what was happening in Africa back in the 70s and 80s. They had videos at the library. I used to go and check them out, and I make copies, of course. And most of the people, I've delivered lectures all over the state and the region, hundreds of lectures, and we'd never heard about it. You can hide information. But if you read Matthew 12 and 42, which you probably never heard a lecture on, it talks about the Queen of the South. And the Queen of the South is a title of the reigning Queen of Sheba, has been for thousands of years because she's the Queen of the South world. I only found this out about 10 years ago, and I consider myself well-read in ancient history. But you can hide anything. You can hide anything. Google it. There are plenty of videos. You can go Google, you can go to our website, AKF website, and listen to lectures and testimony and presentations. People on the continent of Africa, a lot of them know about her. In fact, she was at the coronation of the president, the first president of Liberia, female. And she was there and she spoke. I didn't know about it when it happened until after the fact. So it's there. Google
Brother
it.
Elamine.
Yes.
I remember when you introduced me to this concept, and we have heard of the Queen of Sheba, as you referenced her in the Bible, and then you told me an incredible story, which I've known all my life, but you reframed it. much of what I have come to understand Kwanzaa to do with these 7 principles is a reframing of your mind. And so King Solomon in the Old Testament, there's mention of this queen of the south coming to visit King Solomon, to test King Solomon. She had heard of his wisdom and his splendor and riches, and she traveled to test him. You remember when you told me about this?
Yes.
And so one of the things that has changed in my mind, I'm an educator. So I've dealt with a lot of young people and children and middle-aged kids and young adults. And I'll say to them, or I hear this said in the community, don't act like that. We came from kings and queens. And my whole frame was in the past. We used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then based on what you taught me there and what I've come to understand, because I've been going to these seminars on Mondays offered by the Federation, the kings and queens of Africa still sit upon the throne. So don't say to the kids, we used to be kings and queens.
Right.
We are kings and queens. And she's organized all the kingdoms into a federation. And we don't have to follow the lines on the colonial map. We can rebuild Africa. And she's reached out to the diaspora. So she's included us. She's calling to you and to me to at least we owe her, check it out. Read about it, study a little bit, and see if it's something that we can contribute to, that we can get involved in, can convert dollars into lumi and begin to spend those lumi, because that's when currency takes true value, when it becomes circulated. Yeah. So I've really enjoyed learning from the Queen of Sheba and from you and the Federation. Thank you.
Any other questions? How much time do we have left?
We have about 15 minutes, but with permission from everyone, we can maybe go over a little bit. Is that okay?
All right.
Just give us a hand clap.
Fine.
Right. There is one question: is how exactly do we access the Lumi?
Go to https://eco-6.com.
Okay, yep, I dropped that.
Yeah, I think it was in the chat.
Yeah, and I'll drop it again. And then the one other question that was asked is, what percentage of the African countries are collectively behind the plan?
When you say countries, are you talking politicians or are you talking kings and queens?
Their question might be predicated on political acceptance or agreement. And
okay, politicians are run and owned by the West. No one has been able to refute that. The kings and queens are sworn to look out for all of the people on their kingdom. Politicians look out for the people on their team exclusively. That's how it functions. That's the Western system. So we're looking beyond the politicos, and we access the kings and the queens, of which there are thousands. So the kings and queens are being organized to regain control of their lands. And eventually those politicos who are members of tribes will be brought to task, and I don't believe in the next 10 years, you'll be hearing about politicians having Swiss bank accounts and Bermuda bank accounts or what have you, and sending their children all over the world in gold Cadillacs, while the majority of people are starving, because she is awakening the kings and queens and reestablishing them, because the Europeans took their titles, stripped them of their titles, made them chiefs and chieftains, and she restored them with royal decree in 2007 to kings and queens. In fact, there was a summit in Libya that we didn't know about, 2007, where she officially decreed that the kings and queens were officially restored their titles, the paramount kings, the paramount queens, and those systems have been reestablished. If you go to Ghana, you'll find, in fact, I was installed by 2 kings from Ghana. you'll find the kings and queens still there, and the majority of the people respect the kings and queens, whereas the politicians have to use force and con to get people on their sides. The kings and queens, they're born, and their mission is to look out for everybody in the kingdom. So it's a totally different concept. Stop seeing the world through the West eyes, that lens, and think what a king and queen is supposed to be about. You don't hear about all the wealthy kings and queens. You hear about the wealthy politicians. The kings and queens' wealth is in the people and taking care of the people. And you'll find a lot of princes and princesses here in the West who don't want to sit on the throne because now you're responsible for all the people and not just yourself. So it's a different concept. And when we talk about a wisdom, well, like in Matthew and Luke 11:31, when we talk about a wisdom greater than Solomon, who have you ever heard of on the history of planet Earth came out with a plan for all the people? It doesn't exist. It does not exist. I can tell you. I'm pretty fluent in reading history, and I have never read anything close to that. This Queen of the South is displaying a wisdom greater, far greater than any human that ever walked planet Earth. And if you come across someone that's shown a greater wisdom, text me, call me, TAELAMIN@yahoo.com. Text me, email me, and so I can go and find out who this person is. This is something beyond anything we've ever heard. And the power is there. The difference between being governed by a monarchy versus an elected official, elected officials can be bought and sold. We've seen that. We see it every day. Tell me of a bad monarchy that you have heard of. I wait. I can list hundreds of bad politicians. That's what they do. We had a con artist we've witnessed the last 48 months.
Show you right.
And those in cahoots. But
So
Mitt Romney exposed that. He told us 4 years ago. This guy's a con artist.
Yeah. I have a question.
Yes.
So she referenced the substantiation of the currency. Was that based on the natural resources on the continent? Is that what the numerical value was based on?
That's what the gold portion is, the gold.
Just the gold. She based it just on the gold, not all the other tanzanite, none of the other diamonds, just gold.
Just gold.
Gold and solar energy.
You mentioned some of it. Most of the resources on planet Earth that are of value come out of the continent of Africa.
Right. So I think that, if we were to do the Cliff Notes, because I have a short attention span, so I was listening and walking and doing other things in my home at the time, but it would be wonderful if there were a sort of like a short infomercial of what she talked about, because it is very brilliant, and the hundreds of trillions of dollars that the currency is based on. I think taking it just one step for people to think about all the natural resources that are on the planet, on the continent of Africa, that just kind of makes it a bit more tangible.
Okay.
Could I jump in, Brother Alameen?
Yes.
What I picked up, I watched this video a couple times, and I got it. I was on the conference. These conferences are open every Monday. Is it 11 a.m., Brother Alameen?
Yes.
Every Monday at 11 a.m. You can go and sit with the Queen herself. And the presentations are given for the Queen, to the Queen. So you're just a spectator, but you can witness and based on what I've gathered, it's a double backed currency. It's backed by gold and by solar energy. And so the amount of solar energy that the African continent absorbs is infinite. It's never, it's not going to fluctuate. They are going to be able to convert solar power into energy at a rate that few places, and no other place in the world could do it like that.
Right.
So it's a really, it's not fiat. It's not just the government saying, hey, this currency has value because we said it does. There's some, you could walk into a bank, take 100 lumi, a 10,000 lumi, and say, I want the value exchange. And they could say, where do you want your energy delivered? Or where do you want your gold delivered?
Okay, I'd like to bring up a website, and all of you take note of this and share this website with your family, friends, teachers, educators, enemies, whomever. This is one of the official websites of the African royal kingdoms. The picture that you're seeing on your screen now is that was the 19th coronation celebration of the Queen of Sheba. And that was the new crown that was created by the kingdom of South Korea, the Kim kingdom. The fellow standing there on the left was a participant. In fact, he was the scepter bearer that she has in her hands.
That's you, Brother Alameen.
Oh, well, the guy from the United States, yeah. West Side, Grand Rapids. So I've been mightily blessed. And what I tell you, it's not based on speculation. I spent 6 weeks with the Queen every day, being taught, asking questions, confirming, taking notes. And I was invited to speak at the coronation banquet with 1 day's notice and spoke. And then I doubled back this past February to the World Peace Summit that she brought together 202 nations, talking about peace, solidarity around the world. And I was invited to speak 1 day's notice again, because the president of the World Peace Council committee was not given a visa to enter South Africa. So the Queen asked me to speak in behalf of her and the Federation and the World Peace Committee. So what I give you is facts, irrefutable. And if you want to talk history, you know, well, some of you know, that's where I spent 50 years studying our history and the history of the world. This is the Queen of the South. And if you listen carefully, she didn't miss a beat in what she was talking about, and her heart is in uplifting humanity. So go to the site, look around. You have questions, you can email me or text me, and I will respond. And if you're available on Mondays, or if you're not, let somebody else know. The Monday summits are open, and you can find out what's being planned over the next, well, up until 2063, her plans to bring balance back to the world, and we create this new civilization where Africa's back on top. Questions? I'm open. Comments?
I put a question in the chat about what's the next step for us? How do we invest as we are getting this information? I saw somebody say we should get in on the ground floor, and that I believe. I love to hear and discover and learn, but I also think we need to be prompted towards action and not be last. We shouldn't be waiting for the vanilla flavored people to act first. This belongs to us, and we should be the ones investing first.
Okay, the first thing we all should do is go to that eco-6.com and register to receive, not buy, receive that 100 Lumi per month for the next 3 years. Leave it there, let it stack. And then we can collectively invest in whatever we want to do in our communities. We'll have resources. That then opens the door for us to economically have a solid base. But go to the site of the African Royal Kingdoms and look at what's being done, what the plans are, and see what you can contribute. And then go to African-Kingdoms-Federation.com and join us in this mission, because your expertise is needed. Your good hearts are needed. Your minds are needed for us to build the new civilization outside of what you and I have been taught. We have something special here.
But okay, so I did that while you were talking, and you do get a confirmatory email that says, Office of the Queen of Sheba, thanks for getting in touch. So I'm not sure what happens next, but I'll keep looking out for it. So I think that it's pretty simple. You know, it does ask for like title and kingdom. And, you know, you just put, if you're a mother, put a mother. You know, I'm a medical doctor, so I put medical doctor, because that was a little intimidating when I saw title and kingdom, because I don't have a queenship, you know, or anything like that. And then I wondered, did they even get it? Because it just kept kind of coming back in the loop. So, but it did go through. So I'll be looking out for that. But you know, to echo what you're saying, I think there are a couple of things that are brilliant about this. You know, when I think about movies like, well, the play Hamilton, for example, and last night Spirit led me to watch Bridgerton, which is a Shonda Rhimes, and Shonda Land. You know, she did Bridgerton. And what's really interesting about it is, although it's set, I think, in the 1800s of royalty, it's got a lot of Black people in it. And one of the guys, Hastings, Duke of Hastings, is Black, but it's a lot of Black people in it. And so it sort of shows a world where, you know, much like what we think about as the three wise men who came from the different countries coming to Jesus, being of different nationalities and of equal power, it shows that, which we don't really see that often in movies that are made about royalty. And so I think there's always a lot of distrust whenever people think about Africa, because we've been conditioned to think that way. But if we think about, you know, our own investments here in the American stock market, you know, you don't just buy a house and think that you can sell that house the day you buy it for what you bought it for. You buy a house with a 30-year mortgage, and there's a reason there's a 30-year mortgage in place. That's a generation. So after you have a generation of wealth established, now you hand that house down to the next generation, who is then debt-free of that generational wealth, can expand on it, expound on it, add more to it. So by the time you have 3 generations of generational wealth, you're talking about 30, that's 90, 100 years, give or take. And at that point, you are starting to establish generational wealth. And I think that concept of collective work and responsibility, the true Ujima, is something that really is going to need to be discussed so people can understand it. So right now, what she's saying is equivalent to our 40 acres and a mule that we never got by getting the 100 lumi.
Brilliant assessment. Thank you.
Right? And so the lumi stands, you know, I don't know that that's why, but I'm thinking that with the level of intention that's going on, it's for lumens. And it doesn't take a lot to think that, dang, Africa does have the most sun, right? So it's never going to stop having sun. And so if this is real tangible, you know, currency, then, you know, just hold on to it and don't try and buy some Nikes.
Man,
right.
Man,
that's the name of the game. You're right on the money. The first questions I heard from people was, where can I spend it? Well, didn't your mama tell you don't go out and spend everything you get? Don't be like me. Go spend all your money buying stuff, because stuff is going to go away. The generational wealth, establishing that, part of what this is all about.
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, at 56, you know, the first 50 years of life, I acquired stuff. You know, I mean, and I did a really good job of acquiring stuff. I got a ton of stuff. I collected this, collected that. I mean, you name it, I got stuff, right? Ned came over, we did the video. He saw the stuff, okay? You know, and now I'm at a position where I just want to liberate. I just want to liberate the stuff, okay? You know, and it's called the downsize, and the downsize is real, but there's a whole nother several generations who are under 50 who are in their acquisition of stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and so we have to respect that that's where they are, because that's where we were. But then as the elders, the over 50s, we have to also accept the responsibility of what, you know, in the political system we exist in was called bonds. So this, in a sense, is like a bond, right?
Yeah.
I'm just translating it to, you know, what people can kind of resonate with.
The other
Who
piece.
is that speaking?
May I jump in? This is Ned.
No, who is that speaking?
Oh, that was Carolyn.
My goodness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, yes, ma'am.
The other piece that she mentioned that I think is so critical is phase one is the elimination of debt.
Yeah.
Understand the economics of what's happening on the continent of Africa and in the countries. After colonial powers were, you know, after independence was obtained, a new, you know, white supremacy adjusts, it adapts, it recovers from a loss very quickly. So as the African nations gained their independence and freedom, they very quickly said, well, okay, the powers that be said, well, we'll enslave these folks with debt. We'll offer low interest rate loans, and we're going to do these massive projects, building ports and railways and everything. But the bankers already saw the numbers and knew that the structure was unsustainable. And then Africans become enslaved by debt. And the Chinese right now, if you're watching what the Chinese are doing, they're doing the same. They took the same tactic. They went to Kenya and they built this massive seaport. They financed it. Oh, yeah, we'll finance it for you, they say to the Kenyan government. And they build this massive seaport, all this goods and services can come in now, and it opens up room for building of roads and everything, but they can't service the debt structure. So the Chinese come in and say, well, now we're gonna claim this, and we own all of this land. And they're once again trying to take away everything the Africans have. So her plan to eliminate debt, I think, is critical for the African people and the diaspora.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Great point. Mm-hmm.
Well, Brother Elamine, I'm sorry, there is one more question coming through. What opposition should we plan on overthrowing? I don't know if that was. All right. Well, you can conclude then. There's no other questions.
Any more questions, statements, concerns? I hope that you all will spread the word, African-royal-kingdoms.com. Have people go and look around and see what we have not been exposed to and what's going on in this world and what this Queen of Sheba is doing for all of us. It's amazing. I've been along for the ride for the last decade and elevated beyond any status or anything that I could imagine. And actually was chief of protocol. So my job was to know the royal protocol and to make sure it was at every event we attended, things were in order. And here I am, this little guy from west side of Grand Rapids.
Big guy from west side Grand Rapids.
She must have seen my heart, that I had a good heart and that I wanted to help our people. And rest is history. I'm in for life. And my job is to make sure your great grandchildren experience a better world than we have. And I'm in for life. And I have a partner pushing and supporting me. I've been blessed mightily in the fourth quarter with another partner to carry me through the rest of this journey. And I'm blessed. So I look forward to seeing you all, helping you all, working with you all, and let's build for tomorrow together.
You gonna Harambe us out?
Ashe, Harambe. Ashe.
Let's do our Harambes. Any further questions? All right, we'll do the 3 Harambes. Reach up, grab, Harambe.
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 Harambe. Hey.
Okay. Oh, wait, guys, sing us back. She heard us Harambe. She's running to Harambe.
All right.
Harambe. Dante Sana, thank you so much.
Thank you. Before everyone jumps up, there's a couple of housekeeping things that I want to make sure we do each night. The first is just to thank our supporters and sponsors again that are helping to fund the books that we will be donating to children or giving to children. So here is the PSA from the Black Impact Collaborative.
We are gathered together to joyfully unite the church and social media. Do you, social media, vow to carry the good news of testing, disinfecting, and physical distancing? Do you, church, solemnly vow to exercise and implement methods to limit the spread of coronavirus?
I do.
And now, by the power invested in me, I pronounce your commitment to teach and practice COVID precautions. May you survive, overcome, emerge safely and victoriously now, henceforth, and forever.
Message from the BIC. Visit us at bicgr.com.
All right, and then as usual, I do want to remind you that we will be back here tomorrow. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to, thought I had my screen pulled up. We will be back here tomorrow. Here we are. For the 4th night of Kwanzaa. And it will be presented on Ujima, Cooperative Economics, by Mr. Ned Andre and the Dutch Nigerian Association, correct? Did I get that correct? He will be our host for tomorrow.
Dutch Nigerian American.
Okay, Dutch Nigerian American Association. And also, we want to thank our supporters, our donors, and remind you, well, actually, if you've registered, you have already indicated how many children are in your household. One thing I do want to just remind you, if you have registered, you don't have to register again. You will need to use the same link that you received in the confirmation email. So just want to remind those who may think they need to register every day, you don't have to do that. You do need to be able to locate that email. And if you have any challenges, you're welcome to call me and I will drop my information in the chat or email me and I can resend you your confirmation so that it appears at the top of your email if you are having trouble locating that confirmation. So I just wanted to let you know you don't have to register more than once. And then don't forget that we will be having a feast on Friday, and we will be having an expert to talk to us about the feast and the purpose and meaning of the feast, and they will be a part of Friday's presentation. But think about what you're going to make. I've been having visions of little black-eyed peas and okra myself, so think about your meal, and we will be feasting together at the conclusion of that presentation. And then again, continue to invite your friends and family. We do have YouTube live streaming, and so there have been viewers on there. They're not as interactive online as they are in the Zoom platform, so they want that interactivities or interaction, then I encourage them to join us in the Zoom platform. Other than that, we're going to leave this room open as we have each night for you to commune. I am going to personally step away though to go grab myself some meals so you all can have the conversation that you desire, but you will have access to the room. But thank you, Brother Elamine, for enlightening us this evening. Hope I speak on behalf of everyone. And thank you to Naila and her beautiful children for their participation. And
You're welcome. And excuse the little tussle at the end.
We've all been tussled with, right?
All right.
Hey, everyone. If I could also, it said in that last, make sure you share due to the nature of social media. If you shared this last week, it drifts to the bottom. If you share this thing repeatedly, more people get the word. Oh, is that still going? You know, and then they get the electronic flyer again.
Okay.
So the design here at this point is